So I'd like to start in Tadasana in mountain pose, and then we'll move from there. So first question we always ask before we come into, or when we start, before we even adjust people, is why we're doing whatever it is that we're doing. What's the point of the pose? Okay. Other thing, I forgot to say this earlier, which is I find really helpful. When you're moving in to adjust somebody, to the best of your ability, you're not thinking what's wrong. You're thinking, how can I help or celebrate what's there? There's a different energy. And I'm telling you this because for many years, I coming in ready to do the thing for the person to adjust them. There's a different kind of energy that comes when I'm like, okay, you're not doing this right. I need to change this. Okay? Instead, how can I help you just find the pose a little bit more in your body? Okay, that really helped me just in terms of my energy. I'm from New York City, so the thing is we're like, whoa, like it's just strong, pitta, whoa. We're fixing things, we're getting it done. Okay, so I'm just saying that because thank you Pacific Northwest, you have taught me how to soften into these things. And so when I'm going to assist somebody, I'm not like, you're doing this wrong. I'm like, how can I help you find the variation? So with that in mind, the other thing I'd also love you to think about, and we'll talk extensively about this, is that we're never trying to get everybody to look a particular way. And I'm just saying that because especially if you've looked at Yoga Journal or, actually now I was like, we're not even in Yoga Journal. I was like Instagram and all those things about how like every pose should look. I never try to think about it that way. What I think about is how can I get the body that I'm about to touch to find their fullest expression, which may look totally different than how it does on the internet or whatever. And I say that a lot in class, like please, like especially Warrior One, when we get to Warrior One, I feel like it's like the hardest pose, one of the hardest poses out there. And the way that I feel like it can be done in people's bodies that is a way of feeling really strong, looks very different than like, the Vera One. So thinking about that and then really encouraging either in your own practice as well as when you're teaching people that we're not looking for it to look a particular way. What I'm trying to do is what's the goal of this pose and how can I get that goal to show up in your body? I love that you all stood up. You're going to watch for a bit, but stand up. It's good. No. Stand up. Actually, it's good to stand up. It's good for your energy. I was like, I love it. I would say it's good for your brain. Why do we do Tadasana, mountain pose? What's the point of it? Pardon? Say it again, Lucy. Grounding. Yeah, good. It's a grounding pose. What else? Yeah, there's a saying that we're trying to actually find Tadasana, mountain pose, in every single other pose. It's the foundational pose for pretty much the whole entire standing series. So why wouldn't we start at the foundation? So Tadasana is the pose that we're generally trying to find in every single other pose. Part of it is that it's grounding. It's the beginning of the sun salutations. And in Vinyasa yoga, depending upon the style of yoga you do, we usually start in Tadasana after we've done our centering, right? Okay, so the point of the pose is that it's grounding. What are we trying to do physiologically? Like what's the goal? If there was a goal to Tadasana, what would it be? So essentially we're setting the foundation in the whole entire body so that we can return to it when we come into other poses. It's a symmetrical pose. We're finding balance left to right. Yeah, it's the beginning. It's like the beginning of the Yoga Sutras, Atha Yoga, and so begins the practice, okay? And it starts in Tadasana in mountain pose, okay? And so in terms of it, we're trying to find a neutral spine, as neutral as we can in our own bodies. What are we trying to find? We're trying to find a neutral pelvis, as neutral as it can be in our own bodies. And we're finding a sense of grounding between both of our legs, both of our arms, and length going upwards. Yeah? So those are all the things we're looking for. So now starting with the base, where should your feet be in Tadasana? On your mat. That I get. But where should they be? Should they be hip width? Should they be big toes touching? Should you take your feet as wide as the mat? It does depend. The answer to every question I'll ask you from here on out, I'm going to tell you, is it depends. Yes, it depends on what? Where you're leading them. So if my peak pose